going to start with some nice fingertip movements to begin with today. So let's bring our feet completely together and think about lifting up through this midline squeeze. Standing up really nice and tall, trying to bring your legs together from the outside in towards that centre. And then just standing really nice and tall, lengthening the spine, lifting the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, sending the tailbone down, and just opening up the arms and spreading fingers and thumbs apart from each other. And then we're going to curl in one finger at a time. So little finger first, ring finger, middle finger, forefinger, can't remember the name of that one, thumb in, and then reverse, thumb, and then all the way back out. And then once you've opened them out, peel your, take your fingertips back behind you and just open up the chest a little bit. And then again. So this is from the Garuda work. I did a wonderful boot camp weekend and I'm all inspired to share this stuff with you. So let's finish in that sort of fist. It's like a soft fist. Or you could bring your fingertips together and just push them all together at the top, sort of like a bud. And then circle your hands around at your wrists. And it's quite a weird stretching sensation at the backs of your hands, but it feels really nice. At the same time, we're standing tall, drawing that belly button in and breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Changing direction a couple of times with those hands. Great. Excellent. Okay, let's keep the legs squeezing together. Keep your standing nice and tall. Let's bring the backs of your fingertips together and fingertips facing upwards and come up through the centre. Try and keep the backs of the hands together. My hands are probably going to go out of shot, but keep your little fingers together all the way up to the top, opening out to a nice strong capital E. So those elbows just slightly lower than your shoulders. Just watch where your weight is. I could feel myself rocking back then onto my heels. Make sure that weight is evenly distributed between the front of the foot, big toe joint, little toe joint and the heel. And then we're going to squeeze the elbows together. Have them level, just slightly higher maybe than your shoulders, but not down here. So you're lifting them up and then try and lift them up a little bit and open them back out to the side. And flex your hands again and stretch your arms out wide. So this should feel maybe a little bit nervy with if you're really pulling those hands back, you're trying to touch opposite sides of the wall, of the room even, and then lower the arms down. Let's go again. So backs of the hands together, all the way up, growing tall as you go. Try and keep little fingers together, but the shoulders are drawn down, squeezing those legs together. Come into your capital E, brilliant, and then bring the elbows together, little fingers together, and take a little stretch up. Just take a couple of pulses here. Breathing, hopefully you'll be very aware that you're getting a nice stretch between the shoulder blades in the back. And then stretch those arms out, really pull those fingertips back. While we're here, stretching thumbs and fingers apart. I'm all over the place today because I've been sitting at the desk literally all day, or desk, I say desk, my dining room table all day, doing stuff. I haven't been talking. So excuse me a bit while my brain and my mouth warm up. So I want you to rotate the whole arm in the shoulder socket. So maybe think about taking the thumbs down and then the thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs up. And just noticing, especially on the thumbs down, that shoulder tip, the fronts of your shoulders really rounds forwards a little bit. But hopefully you're becoming more and more aware of the muscles around the shoulder blades in the back as you do this. Let's relax the arms down. Just take the one more all the way up to the top, squeezing those legs together. If you're slightly bow-legged like me, they'll get that little gap when I relax my legs, so I know that I've come out of the position. And then bring those elbows together, take a couple of reaches up, lengthening through the spine, opening out, and then this time let's do the same thing with our arms, as in the rotation, but have your palms nice and flat. So now really think about thumbs going down. Maybe just let that upper back relax a little bit, head drops down just to look at the floor, and then rotate palms all the way up and maybe lift the chest a little bit. Feel like you're leading this movement, in fact do lead this movement from your hands. So palms are coming forwards, thumbs are down, and then by the time that rotation gets to my shoulders, it makes me just want to drop the head and look down. Leave the upper body in that position, turn the thumbs up, rotate them out, feel that rotation around the shoulders, which makes you feel like you want to lift that chest. One more, here we go. Hands first, elbows rotate, shoulders go last, and then go back the other way and lifting up, and just bring those arms down by the side. Wonderful. Great, let's have the legs nice and wide. Not too wide, but we're going to just take a nice big push and pull. So again, using this position of pulling the fingertips back, as I'm pushing forwards with my arms, I'm breathing out, I'm naturally taking a pelvic tilt and pushing the upper back in the opposite direction. And we're going to do this at least one more time that I can think of right now, but we're only going to do it one-sided, but it's exactly the same thing. So it's reaching, I'm going towards this, I'm actually facing the corner of the room now, but I'm going forwards, my ribs, my upper back is going in the opposite direction to the corner behind me, and then I'm lifting my chest. Breath out and breath in, and breath out, breath in, and it feels right to bend the knees, tuck the pelvis under. Get as much movement in that ribcage spine as you possibly can. And really take this opportunity to do some nice deep breathing there as well. Well done. Push and pull. Okay, along the same sort of vein, I'm going to stay sideways. We're just mobilising the spine, a nice big movement. I'm just going to open my window, although it's a bit of a grim day, I'm getting quite hot already. So we're going to lift the chest up, and then we're going to collapse the chest and push this rib cage back, and then take a little ripple through. Just watch me if you're not sure, and then I'm coming back up, leading with my head, which moves nicely into the next one. Lift the chest, just looking up, collapse in that rib cage. I feel like someone's pushing me there. Bend the knees, round the back, bit hunchback and Notre Dame here, and then lead forwards, tilt the pelvis in the opposite direction to come up to the top, and then rounding, ripple through. So just breathe all the way through. You can keep it quite small to start with. Try and get a little bit bigger as you go, as you get more comfortable with it. Collapse that wrist, chest. See what I mean? And there, rolling, lengthening through. This is the beauty of teaching class live on the World Wide Web. Okay, good. We're going to reverse that movement. We're not going to reverse it. We're going to change the movement slightly to be more of a chest and back lift, which is the one we normally do. So we are, yes, we're lifting that chest. We're sticking the bottom out this time. We're relaxing over the thighs. I haven't bent my legs that much. Elbows, hands just resting on the legs. Head hangs down last, and then you're lifting up with the upper back, which is why it does what it says on the tin. It's a chest lift followed by a back lift. Lifting the chest. So all about just mobilising through that spine. Make sure you're breathing. Nice deep breathing evenly. Whatever you do, try not to hold the breath. Strongly, especially when you come up, strongly pull that belly button in to tuck that pelvis under. Really scoop in. That's going to protect your back all the way up. One more, last one. And rolling back up. Fabulous. We are going to take our feet nice and wide. So feet are parallel, and we're taking our reaches up, but a little bit bigger than we normally do them, maybe. I'm going to go back a tiny bit more. Still can't see my hands, but I'm just reaching up, trying to touch the ceiling, stretching down one side of the body, alternating. Great, and then hold one side up. That same side leg, you're going to lift it up first, and then you're going to push it down into the floor. So you're reaching in opposite directions, a bit like what we just did. Hand is reaching up to the ceiling, you're getting a wonderful stretch all down the side, and that foot is pushing down into the floor. And then you just swap. So you have to lift the leg up before you go, otherwise you've got nowhere to go with it. Push down, and then reach up at the same time. Push down and reach up. The focus is almost taking it's a straight line, but I'm actively pushing my ribs out sideways at the same time. Keep the breathing even. Brilliant. Good. Okay, let's take those legs even wider. Turn the toes out slightly to the corner. Let's reach over to the side, so side bend as we would normally do it. Again, stretching down the side seam of your back. Roll around with your chest going through the middle, hands on the legs. Swap the arms over and then come up. Over to the other side. So we're reaching sideways, rolling round, bending the knees, come up sideways and return. Let's do 2 more of those. To the side, bend the knees, rolling round and come up and side. Bend the knees, roll round and come up. Great. We're going to add on to this, we're going to add that push back of your chest. So coming up and over to the side and bend the knees a little bit. From here, I'm going to reach this top hand, I'm going to push through with the heel of my palm to the corner, basically to you, and at the same time push my upper back and ribs in the opposite direction. And then I'm going to come back to sideways, this is my front, and then upright. If I go this way to show you, so I'm going up, I'm sideways on to the camera now, bending my knees a little bit, and now I'm going to the corner. So I'm going to this corner, pushing this part of my back to the opposite corner, back to sideways, and then all the way up. Let's try 4 of those. Here we go. Up and over, bend the knees, and reach away. This is really nice if you're on a chair, believe it or not. So legs are slightly bent, make sure your knees going over your toes, push back, and sideways and coming up and over and push back. I'm keeping my head a bit too lifted because I'm trying to sort of see what I'm up to, what it looks like, but keep the head quite low and then stay sideways. Last one, here we go. Sideways with a bit of a bend. Hips will move a little bit, but try and keep them fairly still. That's a nice thing about doing it on a chair actually, because you can't move your hips at the same time. Well done. Good. So that's a side reaches with our pushing the chest back. Great. Okay. Another nice movement here. Let's take those arms. Let's go hip width apart with the feet, slightly wider than hip width apart actually, but not, yeah, just inside your shoulder width apart. Let's turn the palms up and go up to the ceiling and bring your palms together at the top. I'm just going to face you square on so that you can see what's happening. I'm going to try and bring my elbows together, so this is like the movement that we did earlier, and then I'm taking it, just watch me first, taking a nice sweep. I'm tilting over to one side and I'm taking my hands round in a curve to come to this position. When I'm in this position, I've got my underneath arm pushing against my thigh here, and then I'm just going to open up that top arm, rotating the shoulders really nicely, relax in the middle, and then roll up through the spine, take those arms up, palm up. Just watch the other side for me, just so that I'm nice and even as well. So as you bring those arms down, your elbows are together. Tilt and lean over to one side, leaning away from it. Now imagine the curve you're making with your hands to get to here. The idea is that the legs stay fairly still. You lift up, I'm pushing against this underneath this arm, pushing against to help me open up the chest, relax in the middle and roll up. Here we go, let's try 4 of those. So arms are up to the top, palms are together, big breath in, breath out, bend the knees, sweep across and then lift and relax down in the middle and then palms up. In fact, don't worry too much about the breathing, just do what's natural to you. Bring those elbows together, take your tilt in the opposite direction. So you're sort of drawing a diagonal line or a bit of a curve with those hands, and then lift the chest up. Hopefully it feels quite nice, and then rolling up through the spine. 2 more, palms are up, so shoulders are down, neck is long, elbows together. Come to here first, and then take your twist, and then take your sweep with those arms, and then sweep that top arm up. Relax in the middle, rolling up. Last one, here we go. Let's make this one a little bit more smooth. So as you lower, sweep across, and you're there. So we're flowing. In fact, that felt nice to flow. Let's do 2 more. And let's flow it a little bit more. So hands together, as you lower, reach over to the side, bend your knees, and then once you've made that contact with the thigh, you can rotate that upper body. Last one, here we go, moving all the time. Lowering, so I'm almost pretty much straight away going over. Contact is there, and then feels nice to flow all the way through, and then rolling up through the spine. Fantastic. That was our rotation today. Great, so we're going to do a little bit of one leg stand work. So I'm going to come over to this side, so feet completely together. Adjusting all my clothing today. Feet completely together. We're going to lift one leg. We're going to, let's stay on one leg. As we do this thing, we're going to do it 4 times. We're going to draw the one leg up so that your legs are nice and parallel, hips and shoulders are square to your front. Your foot is pointed. You're going to sort of swing the leg forwards and flex the foot as you do it. So you're swinging the leg out in front, and then you're bringing the leg back and pointing the foot again. And then my toe is touching my other knee, my standing leg knee. Sweep the leg down and out, flex the foot, swing it back in, and come back to a pointed foot. I'm going to have to come forwards because I'm taking the leg to the back. Down and out to the back, and up to the top, down and out to the side, and up to the top. Let's try that on the other side. So this is a bit of a rubbish run through because I think I whizzed through that a little bit quick. So out to the side, foot flexed, lift up, pitch your weight very slightly forward when you take that leg to the back, as you know how to. One more to the side and lifting up. Okay, so that was a bit of a rubbish run through potentially. Let's try and do that again. If you did it okay, that's absolutely fine. So our goal is to keep hips and shoulders really square. You're lifting up, you've got a pointed foot, everything is parallel. Take that leg down to the floor, flex the foot and just swing the leg out. Swing the leg back in with a flexed foot and then draw up the inside of your other leg. Out to the side. Side and lift. And to the back. And lift. And to the side. And lift. Good job, we're changing legs. And the rest of the body is staying beautifully still. Lifting up that leg. Flex and swing. And lift. To the side. Flex and swing. And lift. Your standing leg is beautifully straight at this stage. And lift. Good job. We're coming back to our first leg. We're going to keep the leg there, the moving leg, working leg there. So it's next to your knee on the standing leg, and you're going to bend your standing leg as much as you can. This is it for me. I'm a bit rubbish at this. Got really short Achilles. And as I bend that knee, I'm going to flex the other foot, and then I'm going to straighten the leg and point the foot. Watch that this hasn't happened. You haven't hitched on this hip. I'm definitely trying to lift up a little bit too much there. So lift out of your hips. So let's do 3 more of those. Bend your standing leg as much as possible, flexing and then pointing to straighten. 2 more. Bend and straighten and bend and straighten. Let's do 2 more for luck, because we're not doing any of the legs. And straighten. So obviously if you've got a mirror in front of you, the other thing that you're looking for is this perfect alignment. Hips, knees, knee over your toes. No rolling in, no collapsing. Let's try that on the other side. So we're here. So it's all balance. It's also just a bit of everything going on here. This is quite tough. Bend and straighten. Flexing the foot that's lifted each time you bend your knee. But the focus is really on the standing leg, the alignment of the standing leg. Watch what's going on in the rest of your body. 2 more, 1 more. Excellent. We are going to do all of that all together. So back to your first leg. We're lifting up. So we're taking a bend and the swing of the leg. Just forward side, back side, and then we'll change legs. So here we go. Swinging the leg forwards and coming upright. Swinging the leg to the side and upright and to the back and upright and to the side and upright. Swapping legs and here, ooh, no balance today. Here we go. Swing and lift and swing. There's a whole load of things going on here. Lots to think about. Hips and shoulders staying square, that working knee. We'll do 1 more of those. It's a Thursday, come on. Let's enjoy ourselves. Hopefully it's getting a little bit better each time, as opposed to worse. Lifting up and the other side. Swing and up. And swing. Trying to keep those hips level. Up. Last one. This time, brilliant. Okay, 1 more exercise. Along the same sort of vein, you're going to take 1 leg out in front of you. Try and stand on your weaker side to start with if you can. Hopefully it's the same one you've just been using. So the leg is out in front of you. It can be just toes slightly touching the floor, but a little bit higher if you can. You're going to take it out to the side slightly and just come back to your mid-line. So if I'm doing the same with my hand, this hand is staying opposite my centre. The leg is going out. For 5, then we're carrying that leg round to the side. We're going to take some ankle circles. So let's do that now. And then we're just going to do the same with the leg at the back. So nice and upright. Here we go. So leg out, so let's put your hands on your hips. Out to the side. And it's like a little pulse. You hopefully should feel some work in your inside thighs. 5 of these, 1 more, I do believe. We're carrying the leg round to the side. Hips and shoulders are still square to the front. There's no turnout in this leg. Top of my knee and the top of my foot are facing forwards. Circle the leg 5 times, circle the foot even, sorry, 5 times in the same direction, just from the ankle. 1 more maybe. Take that leg behind you. Keep it in parallel, no turning out. That back hip will want to lift up, absolutely square. Beautifully straight, have that pitch forwards 5 times. Pulse. Out to the side, cross tops of your thighs over. Carry the leg back round to the side of your body. That's difficult, that one. Change the direction of your circles. We're nearly done. For 5, hand. Woo. All on the other leg. Here we go. So from the feet together, from that midline squeeze, take the leg forwards, hands on your hips, keep those hips absolutely square. And we're pulsing. The leg is straight, the leg is parallel, the foot is pointed. Don't know if you can quite see that in the monitor, but 5 of those. Carry the leg round, no collapsing, no change. This is tough work on these glutes. Circle, just the foot at the ankle, everything else is staying still. Thighs are still, hips still, shoulders square. Let's carry the leg round to the back. This is the one where this hip will want to open up. Try and keep it absolutely square. Pointed foot at the back, open out slightly, cross it over that little tiny bit. I can just see my foot poking out behind my shin. Hips are staying square. That was the last one. This is a tough position to come round from the back all the way back round to the side. Make sure you're parallel. Change your direction if you're not sure which direction it is. It'll be the one you don't want to go in, not your natural direction. 5 of those. And give us a little bit of a shake. Brilliant. Okay, well done. Good. Let's stretch those hips out. So we are going to be doing some stretches down on the floor, but we're not quite on the floor as yet. So try and stay with this if you can. We're going to be going into our, down here and coming forwards into a downward dog. Just if you need to move your monitor, move it, but if you can stay as you are, just try not to be in your downward dog and then looking up at the screen or whatever you're viewing it on. So let's have the feet nice and wide, in fact not too wide. Let's start with legs parallel, feet really parallel. Hinge forwards from your hips. We've done lots of lovely mobilising, flowing movement. We haven't actually done any stretching of the hamstrings as yet. So pitching the weight forwards onto the balls of the feet so that you can tap both heels. Let's place the hands on the shoulders just so you heighten your awareness of the position of those shoulders. I have a tendency to have my chin too lifted in this position. Keep the chin tucked in, keep the back of the neck really nice and long. Stay here if you can. If you need to, come up and come back into it a couple of times. Take your arms out to the side, make sure they're nice and parallel to the floor. Flex those hands. So pull those fingertips all the way back. And then at the heels of your palms, just take some golf ball size circles. See if you can, as you do this, so 10 in each direction, as you do this, just tweak your hamstring stretch. Breathing as well. So golf ball size circles at the heels of your palms. Not a very big movement. We're just building the stamina in the muscles around the shoulder blades, holding that whole shoulder girdle in the correct position. Let's bend the knees, flatten out the hands now. Bend the knees, lower your torso and then straighten the legs. Lift your torso back up and up again, like it's a platform. So shoulders and hips ideally stay at the same angle. You might just want to turn your toes out a little bit. Just 2 minutes 2 minutes past the hour. You don't need much more than that, but notice the difference if you do it. So if you're really parallel, I get this block in my hip joint. If I just take my toes out and then my knees out a little bit more, I can just drop my hips down a tiny bit lower. And it feels nicer. And then stay down and just take a shift from side to side. Keep the chin tucked in. Brilliant. Relax your upper body down. Let's try and straighten the legs and then soften the knees. Straighten the legs, stretching those hamstrings again. Breath out. Breath in as you soften the knees. This time, let's leave the legs, soften the knees, leave the legs bent. Walk your hands forwards, just so that you've got your fingertips are stretching as far away as they can, but you haven't moved your weight into your hands at all. Just stay there and feel that lovely length on the spine. If anything, try and walk your fingertips away a little bit more. It's quite strong in the hip joint, compressing at the front of those hips. Let your head hang. My head is hanging down past my hands, but I'm getting this lovely length lengthening stretch through the whole of the spine. And then I'm just going to walk, keep my hands pretty much where they are actually, just walk, not even walk, I'm just taking my shoulders over my hands. So I call this a short downward dog, and then I'm pushing back again. In fact, I'm going to walk my hands back to my feet. I'm finally going to do the walking, and then I'm going to walk my hands forwards again. So legs are wide, just bring your shoulders over your fingertips, and then walk back again. And one more. Shoulders over your fingertips, so make sure those fingers and thumbs are spread far apart. Let's take the feet a little bit wider. Turn the toes out and therefore the knees out a little bit more. Now we're going from side to side. So keeping the hips at the same height. Remember Mondays and Thursdays, Pilates class A is always a bit stretchy. I try and do these stretches every time if I can. So good. And then we're going to turn around to the side. So pretty much, hopefully your legs are in the right position anyway. You've got that, make sure that front knee is above your ankle, not too far forwards, not over your toes. And then maybe have a little walk forwards and backwards. You might need to put that back knee down, that's absolutely fine. If you do, don't cheat and take your hips all the way back here because you're not getting any stretching going on there. And then let's take the hand that's opposite that foot at the front, underneath your shoulder, lift your chest up and take that arm up to the ceiling. Just get this position in your head. We're going to use this in a little bit with this wonderful straight line all the way up. I know you can't actually see me because you're looking away from the camera, but we've got that nice straight line, and then you're bringing that top arm down and threading the needle through, little bend of the supporting arm so that you get that rotation in your spine, and then going up again. Try and have that back leg straight if you can, and threading through. One more. Breathing all the way through. Great job. And then let's just change to the other side. Take your hands with you across to the other side. Twiddle wrists, twiddle ankles, hips, knees. Get everything in the other position. When you get there, move backwards and forwards a little bit. Become more of an angle here. Do what you need to do. Feel how your body is today. Check it out. Does it feel much different from one side to the other? And then let's have that hand underneath the shoulder. Lift, open up the chest. And breathe. And stretching through for that rotation. Maybe bend that supporting arm a little bit and lift up again. And stretching through. And last one, up to the ceiling, stretching all the way through and relaxing, well done. Coming down onto your knees. Brilliant. We are going to resume when I've finished moving the monitors about. We're going to come back and we're going to be on all fours for the next section. So move your monitors if you need to. So this is the exercise that we're going to do, the movement that we're going to do in a moment is really quite strong. It involves a nice balance. It also involves isolating the pelvis with the rest of the body. But first of all, what I'd like you to do is just come back into that nice downward dog stretch from all fours. So find your perfect square box position. In fact, I'm going to come back a little bit just so I can see myself in the mirror. So hands are underneath the shoulders, fingers and thumbs spread far apart, remember. Knees are underneath the hips. You're curling your toes under from here, and you're just going to lift your hips and push your chest back through your arms. So you're flattening out, especially in that lower back. It's a strong old stretch.
over the backs of your legs, especially your calves. Bring your shoulders over your hands and then bend the knees and lower. Let's do one more of those. Lifting up, push all the way back, stay here and breathe. So at the moment my feet are just sort of narrower than shoulder width apart. I'm trying to push back with my chest, lengthening, sending my sit bones all the way up to the ceiling. And I'm just having a little sway from one leg to the other. So if your feet were wider, that would be even stronger, but the leg that you go towards, you'll feel a very strong stretch. Let's come forwards with those shoulders and drop the knees down. So we're going to take a nice stretch out of your hips. So this time have your feet together, feet and knees together. Same thing, curl your toes under, lift your hips, push your chest back. And then you're going to lift one leg. I'm going to lift the leg that's closest to you on the camera so that you can see. And you're going to try and lift it up as high as you can. If you've only got your leg at this height, so my leg is pretty much, what's there, parallel to the floor, we're going to bend the knee in a minute and you won't get the same result. So try and stretch that leg all the way up and feel free to open up that hip. So it's absolutely fine. You'll feel a little bit of rotation in your body. Once you've got that leg as high as you can, bend your knee and let the foot drop down behind you. And you'll feel like you're twisting a little bit towards that side. It's absolutely fine. And then bring that leg down and swap sides. So lengthening the leg away, open up the hip, push the chest down exactly as we just did, and then let that knee bend. Should feel like a really nice stretch across the front of your hip joint, and there's a bit of rotation going on there as well, and then coming all the way back down. Great, and then lower those knees. Brilliant. So here's the next movement I'd like to have a little go at. This is going to combine with something else. We're going to combine those two movements, but probably not till next week. So knees are underneath your hips. Let's go hip width apart again. Feet are underneath your toes. You're going to come back into your downward dog. From here, you're going to lift your heels up and then tuck your pelvis under, rolling forward so that your shoulders are over your hands, and then push your heels down, flatten out your back and go back into your downward dog again. Lifting the hips up, tuck under with that pelvis. This is very strong. You're all the way forwards, and then allow your hips to drop and reverse the movement back. One more if you can. I'm getting a wonderful stretch on my calves and my Achilles the more I'm doing this. All the way over, strong on the calves. Tilt that pelvis back in the opposite direction and then push all the way back, and then bring those shoulders over and drop those knees down. That's really strong. Good work if you managed it. Okay, here we go for the tough exercise. So from all fours, yeah, let's have knees together. Let's try knees together, feet and knees together here. So you're going to slide one leg out and you're going to lift that leg until it's level with your body and parallel to the floor. And I'm looking in the mirror, and this is what I want you to check, is your shoulders and your hips are level with each other. And then the movement from here is to keep that leg still and to lift your hip up so that your hips are stacked one on top of the other, and then you come back down to square. So join me in that if you can. So extend that leg out, take the leg out behind you, hold your square box position. So you're just lifting the hip, shoulders are staying still. I'm trying to keep, and head's facing forwards, that hasn't changed. I'm trying to keep my hands equally weighted and drop down. And again, 3 more. Lift and drop down, lift and drop down, just to level with those hips, lifting and dropping down. Great, we're going to do one more. You're going to hold that hip up in that position. I'm going to flex my foot. So I haven't turned my leg out in my hip socket, I've opened up my whole hip. So my front of my knee, top of my foot is facing the side. From here, I'm going to lift this same side up, take it all the way up to the ceiling and try and balance. And holding that there, it is very strong. There's quite a lot more wobbling going on than there was the other day. I'm trying to lift this underneath, this top side up. Good, everything is really nice and square. Fantastic. Bring that hand down, shoulders, ribs, hips finally, and coming back in. Well done. On the other side, just give a wrist a little bit of a twiddle. So extending the leg out, holding that there. Think about those hips being absolutely level. Check. If you drop your head down, you should be able to see that your hips are nice and level. And you know that your shoulders are level because your hands are equally weighted. So extend the leg out, keep it straight, lift the hip. One side will be easier than the other. Drop it down. Lift the hip. I can feel my leg, my knee that's on the floor is wanting to rotate a little bit. That's absolutely fine. It's probably because my hip is quite tight. This side feels harder for me. Doesn't feel like I'm getting as much lift. I think that was the last one. And let's do one more and hold the leg up there. Sorry, hold the hip up there. Flex the foot. Allow that that foot to move that's on the mat if you want to. Try and push that hip forwards. Lift up. So I'm just on my fingertips, but I've lifted up and then taking that arm up to the ceiling, holding that there. Think of the sides of your body being square. You're basically square to your side now, side wall. Holding that there. I'm actually not as bad on this side, it's not as bad as I was on Monday. And then bring the hand down, notice shoulders, rib cage, then those hips. Spiral around back to square and then you come in. Good job. Just come back onto those, open up your toes. Sorry, open up your knees with your toes together on your elbows and just twiddle hands and wrists. Maybe have a little bit of a sway from side to side. That is quite strong, that work. Good. Okay, we are going to do some abdominals. So let's come down onto our backs. Actually, I'm not going to go too far forwards because we're going to take some double leg extensions in this abdominal work. So the nicest way to get down, holding the hands underneath the backs of the knees, take a roll down all the way. I feel like we haven't done those for ages recently. So settle your spine on the mat a moment. Oh, actually, because I've got my socks on today, that feels quite nice on the mat, not as sticky as when I've got bare feet. So hands at the back of the head, interlace the fingers, bring your elbows slightly forwards, so just so that they're in your peripheral vision. Set your torso, so lift the pelvic floor, make that smile across the front of your torso from hip bone to hip bone. So the whole area is sort of stretched apart, but your lower back curve is in place, wherever that may be. Pubic bone and hip bone on the same plane. Feet equally weighted. We're going to take the legs into a double leg knee fold. So lifting the heels first. You've switched everything on, so hopefully this should be relatively comfortable. Lifting those legs up, making sure, and then lowering toes and heels, making sure that the knee finishes above the hip. I'm not so much worried about what's going on with the foot. Just make sure you're not too far in with that knee because that's going to push your lower back in. Make sure you're not too far away, that's going to make you arch that lower back. If this is too much for you, if it doesn't feel right, and if you're maybe not feeling very strong in the abdominal wall today and it feels a bit uncomfortable, you feel a bit vulnerable, then you can do all this whole section just by doing one leg at a time rather than both legs. But if you can, stick with both legs. So
you're setting that upper body. The elbows are a little bit wider than usual to give you a bit of ballast. Heels, toes, coming up, toes, heels to land. And again, heels, toes. So this is strong work. I'm working hard to keep my rib cage connected. I'm trying not to have any change. There's already a good level of tone in my abdominal wall, which is helping me to do this work. Nothing else is changing. Okay, we're going to add some abdominal curls. Let's go heels, toes, lift and lower. Once the legs are down, take an abdominal curl. You might now want to bring those elbows a little bit more forwards. When they're out here, it's harder. Maybe a bit more forwards, but let that head be relaxed in your hands. Do the legs and lower and lift and lower. If you're doing singles, do 2 singles followed by the upper body and lower. Heels and lift and lower and up you come and lower. Great, let's go adding on. Legs are up, hold them up there. As you come up with the upper body, the legs lower, then you lower. So a bit like a seesaw. Legs up, lift and lower, and there. Legs are up, lift and lower, and last time of this variety, legs up, lift and lower. Good. Legs up, lift and lower. As the legs go, as you lower the upper body, the legs come up. So now we really are doing a seesaw. So not actually resting at all. And again, same thing could be done with singles. Great, let's add on. Both ends in together. Both ends up together. Toes to the floor. Stretch the arms away. So you're lengthening arms and legs away. As you come in with those legs, just back along the floor, you're going to think of moving from your armpits, your elbows, your hands, the heels of your palms are reaching forwards. You're back in that abdominal curl, but with no support for the neck this time. Not so nice. And then to change to go back into the arms outstretched, legs outstretched, we're going to wipe the hands up the backs of, wipe the backs of your hands up the sides of your torso. We're stretching away and then you're coming in and up and over. And 3 more of these. Stretching away and really work from the underneath of the arms, sort of from the armpits almost, to draw those arms down towards the floor. Torso staying still. I think this is the last one. Breath out when you come up. Let's do one more. Breath in and breath out. Holding that there. Good job. We've got some lovely obliques. So, legs are in the base position, one hand at the back of the head. I'm going to do this hand that's closest to the monitor. We're going to work one side at a time. Let's do this side first so that you can see what's going on. So you're coming up for an oblique twist, turning the palm up, reaching towards the corner. The whole of this shoulder is in contact with the floor. I'm crunching around a little bit. If you leave that, so when I've did this before, I think I did it last week or the week before, so I asked you to bring this elbow up to the ceiling. Take it all the way across this time and you'll instantly feel it's a little bit stronger. That palm is turning and lowering, going back flat when you land. So we're lifting. The opposite hip, the one you're reaching away from, will want to join in with you and come over to the side. Try not to let it happen. So really glue and get that elbow down. Breath out, breath in. We're going to add the leg the side you're reaching towards. Take that leg into a knee fold. And breath in, breath out,
Absolutely keeping the pelvis still, lower back in its natural curves. We're going to add on, last set, bring the leg into a knee fold, slide the other leg away, flex the foot, lift it all the way up to the ceiling, put it down flat. When you land, lower, lift the upper body a little bit more and then lower. 3 more of those. Drawing in as you do that, slide that leg away, hold this position here. Flex, lift that leg and squeeze a little bit more. 2 more. Changing the hand. It's a lot to remember. We're reaching away, flexing that foot, keeping the pelvis still if you can, round a bit more. Woo, last one. Whoopsie. And then we're there, reaching, flexing, lifting up, and to the other side. Just caught myself thinking about my tea then for a moment. Here we go. So all on the other side. So roll over. Your goal here is just to keep the pelvis still. Roll over that shoulder, reach that arm away, tuck that elbow in a little bit more than you normally would. You should already be feeling some really strong work around your lower ribs and above your waist. Perhaps I'm a little bit too far over. Try not to let yourself get constricted by things that are around you. 1 more of those. So move if you need to. Great, let's add the leg. Knee fold coming in. Remember to take that top elbow over as far as you can. Turning the palm up as you reach away. Turning the palm back down when you return. Last one of this variety. Here we go. 5 of the whole shebang. Lift the knee fold, extend the leg, hold everything there, flex the foot, lift that leg up, bend it. As you place the foot down, go a little bit more and then lower. Here we go. Knee fold, slide, holding it there, flex, lift, bend, rotate a bit more. 3 more. Extend that leg, flex that foot to lift it up, go a little bit more. Watch that far hip doesn't lift up. Even though we're doing all this really strong work, push the foot down into the floor. Last one. Lost count. You might be glad to know. And then maybe let's just do 1 more. Just because I might have miscounted and you don't want to miss out on that last chance. Oh, to really work those abdominals. Good job. Okay. From there, we are going to go into some bridges. Some nice marching bridges. Let's take a straight bridge up first. So, from a really good base position, get those feet nice and close to your butt and your hips. Keep your spine absolutely in its natural curves, opening up the front of the hips. So buttocks should be nicely fired up with everything that we've done so far. We've opened up the front of the hips quite a lot. Let's open them up a little bit more. Push down through your feet. Make sure that rib cage is down and connected. Relaxed in that upper body. Good job. We're going 1 arm and the opposite leg at the same time. And landing. So this is a straight bridge. You could, if you wanted to work a little bit harder, have both arms up and keep both arms up. This is harder to keep the pelvis stable. This is a bit more balanced. Opposite arm and leg coming up. Pushing down a little bit on the hand, on the arm that stays on the floor as well. I'm using the back of that arm. So we're using the back line of the body, which is good. That's what we want to do. Let's hold this leg up. So I've got the leg that's closest to the camera so that you can see. Putting the other arm down. Let's extend that leg up towards the ceiling. Just check that your hips are level and your rib cage is drawn down, your hips are up as high as you can. 5 little pulses. Just trying to take that big toe up to the ceiling, making that foot that's in the floor, that side is doing all the work. Woo, and then we're lowering that leg so that the thighs are parallel, flexing the foot to lower, pointing the foot to lift for 5. Flex to lower, point to lift. Flex to lower, point to lift. Flex to lower. One more. And half of one to lower the legs so knees are level, hips are level, pointing that foot, circling. Tennis ball size circle-ish. I feel like I've got a little bit bigger today. 5 in each direction. Woo, try and keep that other knee still. Try and keep your shoulders evenly weighted. Keep those hips up. All of that work. Ooh, that's tough. On the other side. Oh, good job. Okay. So, back to your good base position. Lifting up, lifting the other leg up. Hips are level. Shoulders relaxed. Take that leg straight up to the ceiling with a nice pointed foot. And then lift, lift, lift. Just switching on this buttock tiny bit more. One more. Flexing the foot to lower until the knees are parallel. Pointing the foot to lift up. Flexing to lower. Hips staying absolutely level with each other. Maybe hands on your hips, yeah. Elbows on the floor. One more full one. Lifting that leg. Last one, lower that leg so the legs are parallel, pointing the foot, we're circling. Hips staying still. 5 or so in each direction. Keep the hips up. And bending in, coming back down. And just hug those knees in. So do whatever feels natural for you here, whatever you really want to do. I automatically want to hug my knees in, round my back, take a little rock and roll around on my lower back, maybe circle both knees in one direction and in the other direction. Just after that work. Whatever you instinctively want to do stretch-wise, it will probably be exactly right. And it'll also be something, if you instinctively want to do it, that you can do quite well, hopefully. Brilliant. Okay, we are lying on our sides. Couple more exercises and then we are done. So, lying on the side. Sideways work, really, really important. Beautiful straight line. Get that waist lifted, legs parallel, because we're going to take some turn out in a moment. Lifting and lowering both legs. Let's turn that palm up on that underneath arm, lengthen it away. Rotate so your little finger side is up. Try not to lose your waist every time you lift your legs. Hips are stacked exactly as they were earlier. Whoopsie, and that shouldn't happen ideally. Let's keep those legs up. Legs are parallel completely, my insteps are touching, my feet are pointed. I'm going to turn both legs out in the hip socket and then bring them back to parallel. Turn them both out and back to parallel. Both out in the hip socket. If this is really uncomfortable for you on that underneath leg, lie on a cushion or something, have some padding. It's just the shape of your hips just really doesn't suit everyone. You can work the top leg only. It's not quite the same, but you can do that as well. Just bend that underneath knee. So turning them out from the hip socket. I'm not changing my knees, not bending my knees. I'm not changing the angle at my ankles. My feet are staying pointed. And then we're going to stay turned out and we're just going to take little tiny scissors, like swimming from the hips, heels just brushing past each other. Your goal is to stay nice and balanced, but to move those legs quite quickly. It's not a very big movement. Trying to keep the torso fairly still, not hugely still, but keep the legs straight. Move from the hips if you wanted to really challenge yourself. Oh, there you go, pretty good today on this side. Don't know what it'd be like on the other side, but take that arm up to the ceiling. Ooh, lengthening feet and arms and head away. Is it me? Is anyone else exhausted today? Whew. Okay, here we go. All on the other side. So, palm up to the ceiling, rotate that arm. Should feel quite nice in that underneath shoulder blade. And then we're lifting and lowering. Trying not to lose that waist. If you're losing the waist each time, potentially you're moving and tilting your whole pelvic girdle, which we don't want. I want you to try and use that underneath leg, especially inside thigh. That's actually the most important one. Lifting the top of the head away, crown of the head away from the feet all the way through. Let's stay with those legs up. Let's turn out and parallel. Turn out. Feet stay pointed. It looks like they change because the whole angle of your leg completely changes, but they don't change at all. No curly toes, which is this. Feet straight. Your insteps in that lovely straight line. Holding those legs in, turn out, and we're into our tiny little switches forwards and backwards. So normally when we do these scissors, I would say your feet go as far apart as the mat, which is what, 2 foot, I don't know, 18 inches. But we're only taking them apart 6 inches for this. Keep those legs straight. Really push your heels forwards. Challenge yourself by taking that arm up if you can. It actually feels a bit better when I've got my arm up. I feel more stable for some reason. Switching those legs fast as you can. Inside thighs should be feeling quite worked out, hopefully. Fantastic. Well done, and relax. Come down onto your tummy. Brilliant. So just before you lie down, just get yourself so you can see the screen. We're going to take those arms up the backs of the hands, up the side seam of your torso. I do that every time. Up to the top, come into your capital E. We'll take a couple of lifts in capital E, I think. Yeah. And then we will extend the arms into a low V and take some circles to finish off. So make sure you've got enough room. So lying down on your tummy, legs hip width apart, slightly turned out or parallel, always making sure that you connect the rib cage to the hips. Lift the hips up, have a bit of a wiggle about, push that pubic bone into the mat. Now we're starting with the tip of the nose touching the floor. The shoulders are rounded forwards, backs of the hands on the floor, arms are heavy. Think of the line of the shoulders from one shoulder to the other. It should actually be a bit of a curve. Try and really allow those shoulder tips to round forwards and relax, but don't relax anywhere else. Keep that pubic bone pushing in. Just slightly lift the nose off of the floor, and then here we go. Backs of the hands up the side seam of your torso, past your face, lengthen them forwards, turn out and come into your capital E. Hold it here. Elbows and hands lift and lower at the same time. So you don't have to lift very high. If you can't lift very high, don't worry, it's absolutely fine. Just do what you can. Make sure that your hands and your elbows land onto the floor at the same time. I'm not lifting and lowering my back at all. I'm just keeping holding the back up, slightly lifted, not very much. Okay, hold those arms up. Now tuck your elbows into your sides, draw your elbows into your sides, and then straighten your arms, pointing towards your feet. Now come up a little bit more with your back, so that you're at least your bottom 3 or 4 ribs at the front are on the mat, still in contact with the mat. Keep those arms nice and straight and take some circles. Push that pubic bone into the mat. Lengthen. Keep breathing. Strong work around the shoulder blades, just that stamina in that upper back. So important. Breathing. Well done. And relax. Fantastic work. Come up onto all fours. And as always, let's finish off with some nice spine circles. Both directions and both ways. So I just did vertical, now I'm doing horizontal. Stretching all the way through, both ways. Curling those toes under, push back into a deep squat. I'm just going to have a little wiggle from one side to the other. It's not comfortable for me to just, I can't actually physically go straight into both heels down. I can get there with a little bit of work, but I just want to move around within it. Bending those toes over again. Do what you instinctively feel like doing. Have a think about where maybe you haven't had much of a stretch. Just see if you can find a little bit more somewhere else in that back or in your arms or even your wrist. You could turn your fingertips back the other way. Just explore a little bit more. And then let's just finish kneeling down. Hopefully this is comfortable for you. Let's just take one more. Arms up the side. Let's take your palms together. Hold on to one hand with the other and then push. Palms up towards the ceiling and let those arms drop and lower your head. And feel like you've got a lengthened spine and you've worked everything in your body, which I feel we have today. Good job everyone. Thank you very much for joining me. See you soon.